Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, live on Facebook tonight. We're trying out Be Live TV on Talk Show. It's just their talk show feature. We can have 3 people in the video. We have our guest tonight who'll be in the video on Be Live with us. Of course, the Paranormal Soup team's all waiting in the green room, and we'll have JBD and Laura Lee, and already have Zach. Our regular callers are already waiting in that green room. I will share the link later in the show when I'm ready to take callers. Our guest tonight is Ben Davis Jr. We're going to talk about his upcoming novel, TI versus AI, and also his other novel is The Incident at, or It's About Time, The Incident at Fort Polk. So I can't wait to talk to him. And, of course, what we do every Sunday night, the World Wide Web of Weird. All right, guys, we'll be with you in just one sec. All right, welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup on Facebook Live. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight, our guest is Ben Davis Jr., and of course, I have the Paranormal Soup team in the panel with us as well. Now, this isn't like Google Hangouts. I sadly can't have everybody in this at the same time, but I can bring them up in and out. Right now, I got Jamie in. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
Oh, of course, people are hearing you and not seeing you. Hold on a second. And then we have our guest, Ben Davis Jr. How you doing tonight, Ben?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Dandy. How about yourself?
Doing great. Hopefully we can get through without any major technical difficulties tonight. We'll see. This is my first test of Be Live TV, so we'll see how it goes. But let's go ahead and get rolling in the World Wide Web of Weird. All right, tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I try to keep it short tonight because I think we have a lot to talk about with our guests. We got 7 different articles here to go over, and I'm running the World Wide Web of Weird tonight, so bear with me because this is a new thing. My Manicam died, so I'm using XSplit to run it, so it might be a little weird for me tonight. I'm not used to this format. Jeff's always done it on XSplit, so it's my turn to try. All right, let's go ahead and get the first story up. I love comic books, and I love Iron Man. And this first story comes from Unexplained Mysteries. Is a real-life Iron Man shows off suit in Vancouver. This is posted on Saturday, 29th of April. The inventor of the impressive flying suit demonstrated his creation at his week's TED conference. Former Marine Richard Browning raised eyebrows back at the beginning of the month when he revealed Daedalus, a futuristic suit not too dissimilar from Tony Stark's comic book Iron Man armor. Since then, interest in his invention has gone from strength to strength, with even a member of the UK military allegedly expressing a desire to adapt the suit for use on the battlefield. Browning's most recent appearance was at a TED event in Vancouver, where he gave a talk about his invention to a crowd over 2,000 guests, but donning the suit for a quick demonstration. The reaction was brilliant. He said it felt big and left a big impression on people. I think he doesn't get very high in it, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, he like uses his arms to guide himself there. You know, I showed it to my son, and he thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. I love, you know, we're getting more and more tech. All the stuff you see in these huge hero productions, man, we're getting closer to having stuff like it. It's so crazy. All right, next up, this one comes from the Sun. Let me get that video up here. Talked about this on World Wide Web before. They've been saying, "Oh, Nessie's disappeared. Nessie's disappeared," and people are worried that she may have died off. Well, guess what? They've spotted her again. Nessie returns. Loch Ness monster spotted for the first time in almost 9 months, ending fears that the beast had gone missing. The Loch Ness monster's official recorder had admitted he was worried that there had been no sightings of her. This is the moment the fabled Loch Ness monster was officially spotted for the first time this year, bringing them more than 8 months of uncertainty to an end. Nessie officials recorder admitted he has been worried after a dry spell of sightings. Not one person had claimed to see the beast since August last year. A 28-year-old tourist captured what she thinks is Nessie after she saw something that looked like a neck sticking out of water. Haley Johnson was the one who took the photo. Enthusiasts were so concerned about Nessie. Gray Campbell, the official recorder, revealed he had field calls from as far as Adele and Moscow, but tourist Haley Johnson was from Manchester and saw a strange dark shape at dusk in the Loch Bay yesterday. She said to be a favorite haunt of Nessie. The 28-year-old, a care assistant for Abbey Hay, Manchester, said, "I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm a really skeptical person. I've never even been to Loch Ness before, but I decided to come up for the bank for holiday. I had stayed in a backpackers hotel on my last night, decided to go for a walk through the woods, and ended up on the banks of the loch. It was lovely at dusk. Then about a half mile away, I saw this dark shape sticking up like a neck. I thought at first it was a tree, but it was very strange. I took a picture. It was there for a couple seconds, but when I looked back, it was gone. I was shocked. I was really excited about Nessie as a child, but to be honest, I thought Nessie had probably died in the 1930s. I didn't think she was alive anymore. I know now that she's very much alive. I'm just so excited. It's unbelievable what happened." Gary said, "There have been sightings of Nessie there before. This is a credible sighting, but it's obviously unexplained. I was quite worried that there had been 8 months of gap since the last sighting, so was the whole world to the whole world, it seemed. I field calls from around the world, from Moscow, Adelaide, and California, everywhere asking what had happened to Nessie. I'm relieved and delighted with the sighting, and so will be the planet. Last year was a record year for 21st century with 8 sightings, and then she seemed to have disappeared. Maybe Nessie was just getting a little photo shy. I don't know. To me, it's odd, but it's the most grainy, blurry footage you could get of it. So I don't know. It could be a tree that popped up out of the water. That's usual explanation. I don't know. It's weird, but she thinks it was Nessie, so maybe. All right, this next one comes from Coast to Coast AM. Let's see here. This is family kept son in cage for 30 years. This is just awful. Family in China is under fire after it was revealed that they kept their son locked in a cage for the last 30 years because they thought he was possessed. The man's harrowing ordeal began when he was only 6 years old and briefly disappeared from home. During his absence, the boy was discovered by villagers who mistook his mental illness for possession and performed an exorcism to free him from the evil spirits. When the child returned home, his parents became convinced that a ghost had taken hold of their son, and since his behavior seemed extremely strange, rather than take him to a doctor, they opted for a horrified version of a holistic medicine by simply locking him in a cage. That's not holistic, just locking him in a cage. What is that holistic? It was in that nightmare-inducing location that the boy grew into a man over the next 3 decades until concerned neighbors finally told authorities about his plight. How did they not know that whole time, or did they know and they just finally had enough? I don't know. Having been freed from his parents' prison, the man is now being treated for malnourishment as well, examined by doctors attempting to discern his mental state. Whether his parents end up being punished for the astounding imprisonment remains to be seen, but it would certainly be poetic justice if they eventually wound up behind bars. It's another country, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of different beliefs, and these people thought their son was possessed when he most, is not, and has a mental disability. It's really sad. But these things happen, and think your whole life, 30 years just locked up. That's his only experience. You can't imagine what his how he could ever be a mentally stable person, or ever escape from that. And he already had a disability, so it's really odd. All right, next up, this is I talked about this last week's show, well, during the ITC Collective show. This is the cat story. No video for this. That time, the CIA used cats to try and spy on Russia. Yes, this comes from steamit.com. And I saw this kind of get posted a lot, so I thought I'd read it because the links and the money spent, 45 billion, I believe. I think it is in this article. This was posted 9 days ago at steamit.com. This is posted by Do It Voluntarily is the poster. It's been previously revealed that back in the 60s, the CIA had tried to implant microphones into cats in order to try to use them to spy on Russia. According to declassified documents, the effort, which cost taxpayers millions of dollars, I heard 45 million, was informally called Project Acoustic Kitty. Meow. And it had CIA agents implant microphones under the skin of the cats. Ideally, the tail was to be the antenna. A wire would travel up the spine and be connected to a microphone in the ear. And there would be also a battery located in the chest. Thanks to WikiLeaks for the detailed report about the Project Acoustic Kitty, because now discussion about the project has resurfaced. Also, the formal name that was used for the project was Views on Trained Cats. According to a former CIA official, he says that they made a monstrosity, and they leaked the memo shows that the agency saw the operation as a scientific achievement. Allegedly, on their first test, the robot kitty was killed after being. I'm so sorry, Jamie, if you're listening right now. This was killed after being run over after the CIA agent took it to the park to try and listen to the conversation of two men who were sitting on a bench. Rather than do the job, the cat wandered into the street and was then hit. The project was never deployed to the field. This was a defense. This is DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. It also sought to create synthetic bug cyborgs like nano hummingbird or Delphi micros. I think that's probably more likely what they are doing. But this cat project is just one more story among many that provides some baffling insight to what the CIA does with its time and our money. It's like, here we go. We spent $45 million on this cat. Poor cat. Cut it open. They put a wire up its spine, put a microphone in its ear, and they put a battery pack on its chest. They're like, $45 million. We have a better kitty. I can see the Bionic Kitty video now, commercial. And then they let it out. Instead of going to listen to people, smack, hit by a car, $45 million down the drain. I'm sure they had other kitties too. That's awful to think about as well. All right, next up on the World Wide Web of Weird, of course, we have another bizarre clown encounter. Yes, the killer clowns. We thought there are these weird, creepy clown incidents that keep happening. Well, with the It movie coming out, I'm expecting even more. But it seemed like there was a lull. We weren't getting that many, and bam, it's back again. So this comes from, I think this was Coast to Coast AM. Yeah, it was Coast to Coast AM. Bizarre clown encounter reported in North Dakota, May 1st, 2017, from Coast to Coast AM. A group of children at an apartment complex in Fargo, North Dakota, claimed they had encountered a menacing clown with a knife and a man with a snake. I got a snake, man. The strange scene unfolded on Saturday evening when the kids were approached by two nerdwalls who allegedly asked the youngsters if they wanted to see a dead body and then threatened to kill them. Oh my God. While one of the individuals was clad in a clown mask and wielded a knife, his companion may have been even more frightening as he carried with him a 3 to 4 foot long boa constrictor. I'm not afraid of clowns. I'm afraid of snakes. That's what would get me. I wouldn't even talk to these guys. I would have already been running the other way. And then you put a clown and a snake together. Yeah, that just ups the freak factor for me. My wife, she's terrified of clowns. So we'd both be running. While one of the individuals was clad in a clown mask and wielded a knife. Oh, I already read that part. As one might expect, the youngsters were terrified by the stranger and ran off to tell their parents about the incident, leading to the local police being called to investigate. Authorities say that they have identified the clown in question as well as his purported snake-toting friend, and the duo may face felony charges. They better, for terrorizing. Should the state decide to proceed with the case, they better, dang it. Why do people do this? Why does this keep happening? Even if it was to like promote it or do something or you're crazy. What is it with the whole clown thing? It's like I think people are getting off on others' fears, and that's why they like it. I don't know. But my wife's deathly afraid of clowns, and if a clown walked up on her and she started screaming, I'd be beating the crap out of that clown. I'm telling you what. And if I was packing, that'd be probably a dead clown, especially if they had a snake in their hands or a weapon. They'd be dead. I shoot him right in the red damn nose. That's what's going to happen. I saw the video of the guy who let his pit bull out after the clown. All right. We got, this is one that means a lot to me. This is number 6 here. This Oh, this has got audio on it. I've talked about my story about being in a Catholic church on an investigation, and I saw the little baby Jesus being held by the Virgin Mary, and I saw its little fingers move. And my thought at the time was that, well, there had to be some imprint in my mind. There's no way it could physically move that baby's fingers. And I didn't have a camera on because this was an undisclosed location. So I just don't videotape. I don't want to catch something and not show it to anybody because I can't, because I'm not supposed to tell anybody I'm investigating there. So I didn't have a camera. And I always thought if I had a camera on it, it wouldn't have appeared. It's just something in my mind I saw, even though it looked completely real. Well, this video this is posted on Coast to Coast AM as well. Video, Jesus statue in Mexico moves its head. Parishioners at the Church of Mexico were left awestruck when they saw a statue of Jesus seemingly move its head during a Good Friday Mass. The attendees at the service, which took place in the town of Teptipulan, captured the eerie event on video via their cell phone. In the footage, the statue's head can be seen slightly swaying to the side in the motion that left onlookers stunned. Many on the churchgoers concluded that the incident was some kind of miraculous occurrence. However, the priest presiding over their service begs to differ. According to Friar Guerrero Lu, the head of the 300-year-old statue is detachable and only used during the special services, requiring it to be held atop the figure using the velvet ropes. As such, he suggested the head likely became dislodged from the statue as one of the ropes broke. Nonetheless, Lu appreciated the remarkable timing of the event and mused that it was beautiful. This isn't so viral, everybody's like, they post it and they don't, and you see the head move. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, somebody caught something like what I saw. And when I found out it was just a statue with a movable head. I mean, how many statues have a movable head? It just didn't seem like that would be real, but I guess it did. But man, imagine those churchgoers' reaction. If people have been posting this video still saying it's the Jesus head moves, but and you see the video shows his head move, and they don't tell you in the videos that go viral that the explanation. So I thought when I first saw it, oh my God, it's just like what I saw. But there's a logical explanation. They never get these in these videos. And this video will be viral for years to come. And people are like, did you see the head of the Jesus moving? We'll just keep seeing it. They'll forget all about the article that said it wasn't anything paranormal. But I still thought it was cool. I would love to see the people's reaction to it, actually, more than anything. All right, last in the World Wide Web of Weird. This one is something I've always said is coming, and makes you wonder when you talked about some of the guests like Derek Tyler I have on. We talk about clones and what the aliens do and all that. Well, an artificial womb was successfully has grown a baby sheep, and humans could be next. This comes from TheVerge.com. This is by an article by Rachel Becker. The lamb spent 4 weeks in the external womb and seemed to be developed normally. Inside what looks like an oversized Ziploc bag strewn with tubes of blood and fluid, 8 fetal lambs continued to develop, much like they would have inside their mothers. Over 4 weeks, their lungs and brains grew, sprouted wool, opened their eyes, wiggled around, and learned to swallow, according to the new study that takes the first step towards an artificial womb. One day, this device could help bring premature babies to term outside the uterus, but right now it has only been tested on sheep. It's appealing to imagine a world where artificial wombs grow babies and eliminating the health risk. We might have another kid if this comes because there's no way my wife would ever carry a kid again. But it's important not to get ahead of the data, says Alan Flock, fetal surgeon at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and lead author of today's study. It's complete science fiction to think that you can take an embryo and get it through the early developmental process and put it on our machine without the mother being a critical element there, he says. Instead, the point of developing an external womb, which is the team calls biobag, is to give infants born months too early and more natural or uterus-like environment to continue developing. Like my son was that long. They probably wouldn't use it on him. He was only like 6 weeks premature. Maybe they would, I don't know. But, I've seen the babies that have been born super premature, and this is great for them. But my science fiction mind goes crazy with this. It goes crazy with the idea that, I think the Star Wars clone armies, they had to go to all those soldiers in these artificial wombs. And, once you unlock the genie out of the bottle, here it goes. It might be good for little, premature babies, but if this is happening, our military is interested, or other people are interested in cloning crazy people, or the Raelians. The Raelians are watching this video. If you remember them, they said they were going to clone somebody. It's happening. They can start growing people. They don't even need a mom. World Wide Web of Weird. Thank you. All right, now to our guest. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ben. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
And Jamie, you still there with us? I don't hear you.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, awesome. And so, everybody watching tonight, I got my guest Ben here. We're going to talk about his 2 novels, but this is a new show format for us called Talk Show. You can see me and Jamie and our guests tonight. We will be taking callers in the show. We do have our old Skype lines available. J Bland is the audio only, and the Soup live chat. You'll be able to still call into those tonight, and we can still bring you into the show because the only way to call in on B Live is from your PC. We'll talk about that later. About 11:15, 11:20, I'll take phone calls into the show. But I want to get to our guests. How you doing tonight, Ben? I want you to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and we'll get deep into your very, very crazy story. I mean, I'm not saying you're crazy. It's just it's way out there. It's some interesting stuff. And hopefully we don't get shut down by some AI tonight.
Yeah, well, I've already been attacked by adware, so
yeah,
anyway,
that started the show.
I come from a family that's very politically connected in the state of Florida. My late great uncle, was W. Turner Davis, past president of the Florida Senate in 1955. His father, George Davis, was past president of the Florida Senate in 1914, beginning of World War I. His brother was the Chief Justice for the Supreme Court of the state of Florida. So my father is my late father actually is a World War II Navy frogman, which today is now Navy SEALs.
I'd say that's the Navy SEALs.
Right. There was only 1,600 of those. And out of those 1,600, only 87 or 88 were killed in action. And my father really never talked much about that, but I suspect because he was groomed to be in that program, he went to Bowles Military Academy, which was naval. It's now public, no longer naval. And he was brought into the Frogman secret program, so to speak. So,
right.
So I started out at age 6. I was diagnosed with Legg-Perthes disease, kind of like Forrest Gump and his braces.
Right.
They said it was only my left leg and not my right. So my mother, she's probably listening. I hope she is. If not,
hi, Mom. Yeah. Right?
Hi, Mom. She started me at 7 years old with tutors to stay up with the age group kind of thing in the time and era. So I became very good speed reader. Webster's Dictionary, I knew all the words. Medical Dictionary, a lot of it's Latin. I understood that quite a bit. And then by age 8 and 9, I became a proofreader because she typed on the side, moonlighting for help to pay the bills, which you still have problems with in medical. It's all about health care.
Yeah.
And
a lot of that in the news today.
Right. And so I was proofreading college professors' second PhD theses, so to speak, at age 9, 10. Well, I was 11 years old, actually, when the doctor that I guess created homeopathic medicine had asked a bunch of questions to go pick up his second thesis, and he noticed my condition. I was still at 11 years, 3 months and so old, and I still had to wear a leg brace. No improvement. And over the 5.5 years, by the time I was cured, which the medical association says, you got to have some kind of drug to do this with. And it wasn't drugs. I just had to grow out of it because they really didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And having said that, he reached into his bag, pulled out a bottle of pills, and gave it to my mom. Said, "You give him 4 of these 4 times a day. He'll be cured in 3 months." And my mom was, she was about ready to try anything, the snake kind and you're healed kind. And I'm sick of that stuff. But I saw the X-rays every 3 months. I had hundreds of them in a 5 years.
You said you were 11 years old when it started.
No, I was 6 years old.
6 years old. Okay.
I was small, and every 3 months I had to adjust the brace, and I was shooting up like I've been 6 foot tall since I was 9 years old. And so it kind of leveled out.
Right.
And these pills to this day, 50 years later, are still illegal to have, bring in the country, whatever. It's called coral calcium, 100%.
Yeah, I've heard the advertisement.
You can go to the health places and all that, and then you can get coral calcium food supplement. It's probably 1/10 of 1%. You'd have to eat a whole lot of it to even get what I got, and it cured me, and in 3 months' time. So that's significant. So I went to got out of the brace. Run, Forrest, run.
That's what I was thinking. I was totally thinking like the whole Forrest Gump thing.
Totally held back. People were afraid to be near me. They thought I had polio or I was a freak. And so being educated young and speed reading young and all this and that and the other, I breezed through junior high and senior high school because I already knew everything. And I just, I was having fun. And then I became an athlete in high school, 3-year letterman in high school track and field. I broke a state record. It lasted about a week.
So you are like Forrest Gump a little bit.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit.
I think somebody heard my story and wrote it. Yeah, but who knows? And then I played on the state Class 4A at that time in '72 was the biggest class you could have in the state of Florida in football. And we were the #1 ranked team in the country and high school in Florida. And we played for the state championship right there at Doak Campbell Stadium at Florida State University. And we got beat, but we got there. Wow. we got beat by a bunch of big old boys. and all right, having said that, out of high school, the economy turned sour, and we all I didn't want to go to college, but I went to Dallas Community College, and I dropped out. And I didn't understand, they don't teach you this stuff, even all the way through high school. But when you turn 18, you're on the draft, the Selective Service Act. And when I quit, I got a notification 30 days later, and it said draft number was 4. You were screwed. I was classified 1A, ready to go. So I went to my brother-in-law, and he said, long story short, you don't want to go to Vietnam. I didn't even know what the heck that was about because I don't even watch the news. I could care less.
Right.
You hear about it. So many people died over there. Now it's up to 50,000. And I was a late learner when I joined. He told me to go to the recruiter and join. When I went and joined, they test you. They give you 4 categories you test on. And the recruiter I had was stunned. He called me up one day and said, "Mr. Davis, can you come down here?" I said, "Sure, I'll come down there." He says, "I've been a recruiter for 16 years, and I've never seen 100 on any test. You got 3 of them, and you got 95 on the other." Oh, okay. So they sent me to the Armory, the National Guard Armory, and they further tested me with my IQ and everything else. And I won't disclose that much, but
but usually,
pretty daggone. It was way up there.
I had some of experience like that in high school for testing, and I'm getting an echo. Usually they want to when you test that high. I wasn't that smart, but they want to put you in like Department of Defense college. Right. Usually.
Well, in my first book I wrote, is this one right here. It's about time incident at Fort Polk. I wrote about my Army experience, and I was denied entry into the military, which is one way out of the draft if I had been thought about that.
Right.
Well, they told me that because of my bone disorder, I had to go. Yeah. I had to go to my doctor, who was at the time the president of the AMA, and he resigned after they refused to publish the article about the coral calcium. And so he all he had to do was have a sign notarized from them that I was cured. That's it. And that was the Army's way of.
You could have got out of the Vietnam War.
Well, I mean, yeah, I could have. I didn't know what the hell war was all about. Dad never talked to me about it. I mean, it's horrible what it is.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't find out until many years later, in writing this book, that the personnel file that I requested came to me. It only had 17 pages in it. My mother told me just last year that I had 3.5-inch thick file, and I saw that 3.5-inch file. They were trying to make an example out of me to boot me out because in this incident, I stole, or I didn't, I controlled psychically from benevolent ETs, allegedly abducted me and some other fellas, and we were either taken to the future.
This is at Fort Polk, right?
Yeah, 1976. And so during that incident, we were pretty much said, well, if you want to take the blue pill, you wake up tomorrow and you'll probably die as a soldier. You know, you're expendable. Or you could take the red pill and do as we asked. They wanted us physically to reacquire a beam weapon of some type. And the other guys that were in our little mission were coerced, so to speak, because what they showed us of the future. The future partakes in 2026. That's 9 years from now.
So it was 1976. So then they took you to 2026.
Either that or who the heck knows.
Right.
I can't describe what they look like. I can't describe a spaceship.
You were a soldier at the fort. Mm-hmm. Then where is Fort Polk?
Fort Polk, Louisiana. It's like middle of it's the country's largest by acreage Army post. They still have World War II barracks. We had to put mosquito netting and all that. It was a building up of change later on. I found out, but.
So anyway. was this an abduction in the middle of the night? You and two other soldiers just taken?
Yeah. Well, there's another fellow by the name of JJ back in the day. African American guys, you know, they gave themselves initials like Mr. T and stuff like that. And I never knew his real name, but there was one man. His name was Timothy Hart. He's deceased. He come running out of his off post housing. Freaking out and see JJ and I saw a UFO. We were going to Wichita, Kansas on a 4-day pass. And I still had a leg cast on. I broke my leg playing combat football off duty. So, well, yeah. And this is what I never realized is when I got back, actually the 3 days after the alleged abduction, it was so freaky that I could read and talk without saying a word to JJ. We could read each other's minds, and we were talking about. I said, "Hey, look, let's stop this. This is crazy. We weren't high, we weren't drunk, we weren't doing drugs or anything.
You're just reading each other's minds like a telepathic connection."
Well, you know, we were in the back of a pickup truck on I-20 westbound. We were just past the Louisiana-Texas state line, almost sundown. I don't think they had daylight savings time at that time, but anyway, JJ says, "Look up there," and I'm looking up, going, "Where?" He says, "Right there." Oh yeah, gosh, it was an oblong ship, that, you know, like a cylinder, kind of looked like the Enterprise. I didn't even know what Star Trek was at that time. I didn't watch that stuff. I didn't even know what it was. And then it zigzagged and swooped down right on top of us. It was about half a mile long, quarter mile wide, and then a bright light beamed down, and that's the last thing I remembered until almost sundown on March 15th. They were at a truck stop, and they woke us up, shook us out, you know, and I looked at JJ, and he looked at me, and man, where in the hell have we been, you know? So these guys say, "Man, what the hell's wrong with y'all?" You know, the thing is this: I was just coming back from who knows what. Because all I could hear was, Jay, just go get something to eat. He didn't say a word. I said, let's go. So they tried to wake us up twice. And we were, I guess, cloned.
This is during the abduction. You were cloned.
Yeah. And so my lifelong 41 years from the military until now, plus since 7 or 8 years old, I've had so much research, self-education, even college education in creative writing for entertainment. And so what I realized through all these years is when a couple of years ago, I ran across mind control, and I ran across nanotechnology, and I ran across chemtrails. And so I started doing so much research that I finally put it all together. And that's when I came out with the first book. Now, having said that, the new book, is called TI versus AI, Targeted Individual versus Artificial Intelligence. And this is where I want to go with this. The abduction and all that happened. We stole a weapon. They got it back. They used it against 9/11 towers.
So the abduction. Sorry to stop you right there, but the abduction that happened. So they and it's aliens, right? That abduct you, or is it military?
Yeah, no,
a little both.
That I couldn't really put a finger to it until this book, because I'd always believed it was benevolent ETs, and since I got kicked out of the Army, and I was supposed to have gotten a Chapter 13 undesirable, and when I requested my military personnel records, it was all fabricated. All the papers that I saw were like you can cut off a piece of paper with my signature on it and stick it on, and copy it out and white it out, and that's what they did. They lied. They covered it up. The incident at Fort Polk. It's because it was such a vast amount of people that were involved. It's the same thing about John T. Vasquez, who I don't believe in coincidence, but is my daughter's mother's first cousin, who wrote a book called Incident at Fort Benning. And I believe that they got the weapon back and they took it to a more secure fort. And then they did a JAWS test with an entire battalion. You're looking at 1,200 men, and all 1,200 men were memory wiped, including John Vasquez, who didn't forget anything. And of course, he spent 75 pages in his appendix of tracking down all of his records, and he couldn't even prove where the hell he was at.
Now, did they try to mind wipe you? I would think so. I would think that's not something they send you on this. I can picture it, a kind of a military co-op campaign with aliens to recover this device. And let's
get to the new book then. Let's just.
Okay. I was going to say, I was just wondering.
It's all connected.
Okay.
My story was about stealing a weapon and getting kicked out, so to speak. All right. And since that time, the ETs had told me specifically that I was the leader of this group, and I was in a cast in a barracks. I couldn't go anywhere. How did I do any of that stuff?
Right.
I told my other fellow soldiers to go do this and that and the other, and they did, and it was a lot of collusion. And it made a lot of sense through John's book that he had the same problem. That's what I'm going with memory wipe. I'm going with mind control. And it took me, now 41 years to fulfill the mission that I chose to take with the red pill. I chose to save humanity. And to do that, I was to write a book, publish it, and it would change the timeline of the future, which is now. It's here this year.
So it changed the future you might have saw. When you talk about time travel, I'm sorry, my brain goes right back to that because time travel fascinates me. So I know we want to talk about AI versus TI. or TI versus AI. Sorry.
I'm going to explain it to you how you can determine that at the end of the show. Okay. All right. So since that time, I was told I was going to meet a Mexican woman who was going to give me birth to a female child, and I was to name her Crystal. And that all came to pass. And it took me 18 years for that to happen. I was also told about an earthquake that was going to happen in Mexico City in 1985 and the date. And I was accurate about that. That came true. And so the 4 other men that reacquired this, device, we decided to have a reunion on New Year's Eve of 1999 in Mexico City at the highest, tallest, most luxurious hotel in downtown Mexico City. And of course, at the time it wasn't built, 85, most of those were toppled and they rebuilt. And so when I found out where we were going to meet, because we didn't know, we were all just going to know, in your head. One day I'm up in Washington, D.C. doing a Marriott job. I hang vinyl for a living. And my old lady, Kathy, texts me 911-007. That's my code. She said, kind of funny. Later
I'm a big
on,
James Bond fan.
So 9/11. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Connection. And so, I just saw on The Price is Right, they're giving her a vacation in Mexico City. I said, what? It's the name of the hotel. You told me when we met. You don't know the name of the hotel. Well, I found it. I said, what do you mean? It's called the Cristo Rosa. I said, what's that? It's your daughter's name in Spanish. Boom. Goosebumps galore. So we went about 6 months after I had my first MUFON interview going public. And that interview, I gave permission to post. Mary Margaret Zimmer, she wrote it, and it was all fabricated like fiction. None of what I talked about on video ever got back to me. They probably have it in a secret file too.
So
and then I found, MUFON works for the government. They've been, and here's the catch. After the interview, the husband, Mr. Zimmerman, he asked me a very clinical, scientific question. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm going to ask you something very specific. I said, what's that? During conception, did you notice any aftermath? I looked at Kathy. She looked at me. I said, how do they know? Not to worry, Mr. Davis. I said, what do you mean? I said, excuse me? I said, yeah, something did happen. The night of conception, something about egg shape. It was they told me it was a implanted embryo. I was visited. And they took a sperm and egg, came back 8 days later, they implanted it. Out it comes.
So this was an artificial insemination, your daughter?
Yeah. And from that day forward, I told MUFON, well, this is what they said. They said, we've been studying and documenting cases like 28,000 and some change over 50 years. This is 1999. And they're all the same story. So they're just they're doing their job. And I said, this interview's over and I got to bless.
Yeah.
So having said that, I know for a fact that, my daughter's special. She's now in the Air Force, MP. She told me, Christmas, I can't wait to get out. She showed me the chip in her arm right here.
Ooh.
Right here. And they took it out. And then now she came in the spring, in March. And she said, Dad, I'm going to make a career out of that. I said, I don't blame you. You know why? Because if you come out, there aren't no jobs. If you become a cop, you're going to be the first target.
No kidding. They are a target now.
Yeah, when everything hits the fan. And I agreed with her because the future that I saw didn't pertain to her, but she was special her whole life. She was straight A's. She was the captain of the volleyball team in high school, and she's short. She's 5'3.5", and not 6 foot like me.
Right.
And why so? and she could always read my mind. And so now we're going to get to the next book. Okay, it just got published. It took me 2 months to put it all together. Out of this 2 months, I had two other co-authors, I call them helpers, to help me transcribe 9 podcasts in the book. And the podcasts were from targeted individuals. It's called Mind Control Recovery. I got permission from the professor who had a website called dataasylum.com, who expresses what he writes in Hollywood movies. And in this book, it suggests the same thing. Well, the chapters are disinformation, slates of mind, not slates of hand, skeptical about skepticism, group efforts, and infiltrators. The program explained. I'm going to read that in a second. Chapter 6 was accusations, scapegoating, and TIs. Chapter 7 was the company that you keep. Chapter 8 was reality plus. And chapter 9, the message you want to hear. Okay. Now, let me start with just a little quick reading here.
Okay. This is from the new book. And when is it going to be released?
It's released.
It is released now.
Right. You can go to Neely Worldwide Publishing and go to their bookstore. They had to rebuild it because it got targeted. Anyway, now I'm going to talk about the program that many targets are put through. I'm talking about something very specific. Not all targets go through this, but the tools used in this program are used against virtually all targets. So what is it? It's a program. It's a highly deceptive, multi-year program. I call it deceptive because it often looks like something completely different. It might look like you've deeply offended someone who sent his entire social network after you. But that's not what it is. It might look like you are a victim of an extremely vicious and secret smear campaign. But that's not either. Maybe you think the police are sending people after you, or you think maybe criminal gangs are harassing you. Or maybe you think it's a Stasi-like secret police messing with your life. Maybe you've read about COINTELPRO, and that seems kind of like what it is. What I'm talking about looks like these things. They might even incorporate elements of some of these things, but it isn't any of these things. It's something that can be disguised as any of these things, but something different. It's something pretty new. Now, I don't want to downplay the claims of stalking at the hands of several people. Stalking by groups of people is something that happens. You'll hear about this sometimes. A man might take turns with his buddies harassing an ex-girlfriend. That's the thing. It happens. But what I'm talking about is something qualitatively different. It is not stalking. It's something else. What this is, in essence, is virtually an untraceable takedown program. It's very hard to fight. Partly it's because the program looks a lot like mental illness, and partly because you're being harassed in ways that you don't want to disclose to other people. It's made very embarrassing on purpose. There are several possible entry points and several possible outcomes. Since it's highly psychological, how things turn out dependently, partly, on any inclinations of the subject. Also, what I'm about to describe doesn't explain everything. There's all other secret programs with people on the receiving end of this program that are very likely to get caught up in. And to make things more complicated, once someone gets taken down with this program, he might get enrolled into those other programs. Things like weapons testing or medical experiments. If the target has been painted as crazy, the authorities can get away with a lot. And sometimes the program drives people to try to kill the people they perceive to be attacking them. I don't condone this, but I understand what's going through a subject's mind when he acts out this way. The whole process is threatening. It's infuriating or humiliating or a combination of the three. So that's the whole broad line out of this program. So now I said that, I'm going to show you what the patents are all about. Okay. Inside the book, I disclose a handful of patents. One of these patents is called Social Network Driven Indexing System for instantly clustering people with concurrent focus on same topic into on-topic chat rooms and or for generating on-topic search results tailored to user preferences regarding topic. Now, in the book, that one patent alone was filed in 2002. And within all this is, I got the rest of it right here. It's the, you have to have a schematic, you got to have drawings, you got to have a working model to have the patent approved. And Facebook came out the same year. That's exactly what it does. And inside the drawing, it has a cloud in the middle of the drawing. They invented this years and years and years ago. Now, another topic of some of this stuff is called autopoietic network system endowed with distributed artificial intelligence for the supply of high volume, high speed, multimedia, telesthesia, telemetry, telekinesis, telepresence, telemanagement, telecommunications, and data processing services. And in the abstract of that, it talks about wireless communication remotely through microwave beams. Now, inside all these patents that I disclose, the purpose of all this is when a patent or, let's say, a weapon is wanting to be designed by the military-industrial complex, Department of Defense, DARPA, whatever you want to call it. They compartmentalize it. They spread it out so much that somebody's working on certain things and they never talk to each other. They're spread out all over all the universities through grants, taxpayers' money. And see, everybody on the internet, for example, this is a live chat room.
Right.
You're going to have, 16 people in the chat watching. Just think how many millions of similar types of programs, talk shows. The most famous one is Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
And of course, they're corporate bots. They're not going to talk about a lot of things.
No, that's why John B. Wells isn't on there anymore.
Yeah, well, look at mainstream media. Some of them got fired, kicked out because they said too much.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same thing. The program that I'm talking about is so hidden. It's just right in front of you.
I believe it.
The Vault 7 was disclosed, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In 1993, I went to my 20th high school reunion. I met a guy, I'm going to call him Joe. He and I used to smoke weed in the band practice room in 7th grade. It's 7th grade now. And so,
no worse than that, sadly.
I ran into him at the picnic day or whatever. Oh, Ben, hey, how you doing? I said, I picked a pull one out of my pocket. And he asked, what are you doing? I said, I'm a federal agent. I put it back in my pocket. And I said, well, let me show you my car. I said, sure. He opens up the trunk, pops out a bowl-shaped, satellite dish with a computer in the back. And he opens up the front, ice cold 50-degree air conditioning to keep the computer cool. And the first laptop I ever saw in a cop car. He pulls up a screen. He said, I'm a drug agent. For who? The Border Patrol, really. I'm in control of the entire Northern Hemisphere, from the equator all the way up to Cuba and all that stuff. And he showed me 3 green blips on that graphic map. And he even pulled up a dialogue box that said, pilot's name, flight plan, all that stuff. And then another dialogue box come out. It said 350 kilos of cocaine, 375 pounds of pot. And then the numbers started spilling. I said, what's that doing? Oh, it's counting the money. I said, really? Yeah, from a satellite, 175 miles up. Really? You can't ever tell anybody that. I said, tell them what? I'm acting dumb. I want to go burn that right now.
He's making money? Is that what you mean?
He was a federal agent.
Yeah. But he's making money off of it. I don't know why I'm here myself.
No. He told me directly, Ben, drugs messed up my life, my wife, and everything. I decided to do something about it. We got a drug war going on. So he sends an email to the 3 blips, one on Grand Bahamas. Oh, they just paid 10 grand for fuel to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky. The other was coming to Mexico City for refuel so they could get it under the tunnels they got under the Rio Grande. And the other one just left Venezuela. Really? Huh. He got rid of the graphic mat, pulled up a live streaming audio video. I said, what's that? It's the back of the head of the pilot, co-pilot. And, oh, by the way, you ever have fun with your old lady in front of the TV? I go, sometimes. If I were you, I'd unplug the cable. He told me in 93 they had this stuff in our televisions, on our computer screens, right now. And I got proof of it. I won't disclose that. It's not on my computer right now. It's,
but you're saying, you're saying in 93, I don't know why I'm getting echo.
Yeah, they're listening.
That's so weird. But you're saying in 93, they got, were able to look into our TV, use our TVs to spy on us. Well, how would they do that though? I mean, would it be like
20 to 50 years ahead of commercial?
Well, I believe that, but I'm wondering how they would get it into a TV back in the 90s. Would it be through when they had early cable hookups they were using, or
cable started in the 70s, so
probably. Would they have? And would it be only certain brands of TVs that they had this built in, like the TV companies were in on it?
Well, mind control goes back to the 1800s, actually.
Mind control can go back way further than that. I mean, honestly.
Well, by recorded facts that I've researched.
Yeah.
And doctors were playing with monkeys and all this stuff. And see, nowadays, these patents, there's over 200,000 of them. I only picked out the ones that I deem important, that hopefully the readers will go, wow, I got a very smart cousin. He's my oldest cousin. He says, man, I pulled out a dictionary and everything. After about halfway through the first, I got a headache. Nobody's going to understand this stuff because that's the way it's written.
I don't. I'll admit it. Everything you read off, I'm like, it sounds very complex, and I don't understand half of it, or less than that.
May I ask Ben a conspiracy theory question that I've been having regarding those Echo, the the Google Home and the Alexa Echo? Are you familiar with those?
I'm familiar with a lot of electronics. I was with a rock band in the 70s out of the Army. I went to a electronics course, at the technical school in Tallahassee, and I knew quite a bit even back then.
And these self-learn through Wi-Fi. They're constantly getting smart all the time through Wi-Fi, and they give you the little button to make you feel secure, like you're muting it, but it has wake words. And I'm wondering, is this something that they can be using? We all go and buy to have in our house, and they could use it as a spy device in our house.
Everything that's smart. Your smart meter, your smartphone, your smart TV, smart clock, your smart watch is the nanotechnology lives off that energy. It's secret energy that Tesla probably invented, and they kept it secret all along. In fact, it's what it thrives off of. Now, the patent, I'm going to read this patent. Thought transmission unit sends modulated electromagnetic wave beams to human receiver to influence thoughts and actions without electronic receiver. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep. Yeah. Well, in my book, I spell it out to a simple person. Now, I have enough education. I'm not an expert in everything. But I do understand how to read things because I had 3 years of architectural drawing in high school. And with that knowledge, that was before computers where you can just, do it easily.
Before CAD.
Yeah. And when I was in the Army, they put me in as a combat engineer. Now, an architect and an engineer work hand in hand. And with everything I've researched my entire life, I have come to the conclusion that everybody on the planet. And inside this book I wrote also includes the U.S. Air Force report on the weather modification program using chemtrails. They don't call it that. They call it a different kind of payload, they say. But one of the chapters also says in that part of the inserted paperwork, which got messed up the first two publications I had. I mean, this time it's bright white. You can read it all, if you can even understand that.
Oh, I am way into the chemtrails.
Oh, me too.
I'm talking about, look, I watch over my own house since the secret space program came out, that led me to other people and a whole lot more information about the truth. Anybody that's trying to disclose the truth, it's pretty simple. I'm going to read you the last chapter of the first book. It says, they want you on conference calls. They want you sharing stories with each other. And they want you to rush to the public with misleading or outlandish explanations of these problems. That's the real purpose of the program. This isn't a grand unified theory of targeting. I just want to make that clear. This is one specific program that many regulars on my call had been through. Some of those regulars have been through other programs. Some of them are being taken down for nefarious purposes. If you've been through the program, the entire thing, or nearly the entire thing, now you know the truth about what can be done with electronic mind control. And now you know where they got their power. From their ability to grab your attention. If you're still struggling with neighborhood harassers or friends and family members, which some of my family members, they promised me things and then denied it ever happened. It's obvious to me because I'm not mind control. Now, we'll get to that in a second too. If you're still struggling with that and who seem to be in on it, just keep in mind things aren't necessarily as they seem. So it's not as bad as that a lot of people are trying to put it out to. The secret space program participants, I'm starting to wonder if I was in that and brought back 10 hours later from when I was taken and the technologies that I'm reading in the patents, not in the book, but other places, the trick about the Google patents is this. The least amount of keywords that you use, the more results you get. That's a lot of studying. So you limit it to about 3. And you got to figure out, am I telling the truth? Of course I am. Why would I lie about something that's right there in front of you? Well, I'm going to tell you what's right there in front of you. It's wireless, remote. You breathe in the air from the chemtrails with the nanotechnology. They're not stopped even since Trump came into power. And whether he knows about it or not is beyond me. Maybe he is part of the old world order.
My question is, do you think any of the presidents know about this?
Who knows?
Have ever known, or it's so under the table, not even our own presidents would know about it.
I can only suspect, and then that would make me unbelievable, and I can't comment on something that I don't know. I really can't say. I can't even prove what happened to me because the Army covered it up. I can't even get the real documents that my mother saw that had a PI stamp on the top of the folder. That means political inquiry, a congressional inquiry. I was requested by my parents to Senator Lawton Childs, who was later Governor Lawton Childs. He was the chairman of the Defense Department Budget Spending Committee. And he's the one that got me out and not court-martialed and spend the rest of my life in Leavenworth making small rocks out of bigger ones with a real sledgehammer. That's
why would you would have been court-martialed just because of what their way to get rid of you in a way?
They'll shut me up or kill me. Everybody that was involved with my team in that mission they're gone. They're dead. I'm the only living one to talk about it. And here's something my father told me. He said, "Son, I'm the one that 3 months before he died in 2007. He said, son, I'm the one that made that phone call." I said, "What phone call?" Senator Lawton Childs. "About what?" "The UFO thing." "Oh." And I says, "And what does that mean?" He says, well, I got something to tell you. He told me that was Howard Hughes' dadgum toys. And that was a clue to me.
That was Howard Hughes's what?
Dadgum toys. He was playing with his airplanes again.
His dadgun toys. Gotcha.
And that's the first clue right there. That there are no extraterrestrial craft except reverse engineered ones. And everything that's been reported is blown off because that's what MUFON does and everybody else claims it. And is there going to be disclosure? And in my book, I say, well, they better disclose the truth, not just on UFOs and aliens and all this stuff, but I'm talking about where has the money gone? Disclose the truth. No more lies. And so pretty much in a longer but shorter story is this. My book shows how to do that. It doesn't show yet how to help yourself from being mind controlled. I'm not. That's because I'm unplugged.
So you don't have a TV, like you're not watching cable. We talked about this with the guest Derek Tyler. He doesn't watch TV. He says turn it off. Don't have it on. You're being same thing. You're saying mind controlled.
You're being beamed from the cell towers, but they're using and the same thing. Let me put it this way. In the social media patent that I read the abstract a little bit of, it shows how you one topic to another subtopic, and it goes into further detail. I'm talking about it was like 100 pages. I can't even read that in one show. Yeah, and so having said that, the point is this: it follows your eyes. It follows your facial expressions. It knows what you're looking at right here on the screen. And then it comes up with an auto-generated topic or subtopic and shares it. So Facebook is a distraction.
Oh, I agree on that. It distracts me all the time.
Twitter's a distraction. But the electronic harassment is real. And especially what I said at the very beginning. It's all about property and money, especially a lot of it. And me working in business, I mean, I'm legal, I'm legit. I report taxes. It got intercepted this year because I wrote this book. And you know what? I resolved it because there's a catch in that. Well, I had a FAFSA law, and I haven't been able to pay on it. And they took it because of that. Because when you're married, it's the husband's name first, and that's all they look at. I mean, there's no mind control there, but it's electronic harassment because there's a loop that says, oh, the injured spouse form 8379 has to be filed, and she has to claim it. I can't have anything to do with it. And I told my old lady that. I said, hey, look, you might get intercepted. I told her that. I said, I didn't see anything in the filing that said I had to file this other form. There's flaws. Our entire government has loops everywhere. So if you don't question authority, and if you don't question the money, especially my tax money, your tax money, everybody that's listening tax money, and we got 20 people. How many millions of websites are like this that are so spread out that nobody can ever get it? And I just put it in context.
1 second here. I want to just let people know we're listening to Ben Davis Jr. right now. We're talking about his new book coming out, TI versus AI. We are going to open up the phone lines. And my video went blurry again for some reason, so I don't know if you guys can read this. But the Skype call-in lines are there's two of them. If you can't call in from your phone or from the computer, because there's the Be Live talk show. You can call in and be on the show like Jamie and Ben are. You can click on the link I just posted in the chat room and join us that way. But that only works with the computer. If you can't get on a computer and want to call in, we have two mobile device ways off of Skype. There's Soup Live Chat, 800 Live Chat. That's our video Skype call. You can call in and we can see you from that. Or there's the OOJBLAND OO. That is the audio only Skype line. So if you want to call in and ask our guest a question, please do so. All right, we'll get back to what we're talking about here: AI versus or TI versus AI. So targeted and visual versus artificial intelligence. So it's basically you're talking about a program that this would be like something like the NSA or bigger than the NSA. Going and looking it's looking at chat rooms and for activity for what people are talking about and doing and going, this person's a danger, and targeting them in an electronic way.
If you look at Facebook, and I study this quite a bit. Okay, you have you got your home button, and then you got up here you got your main page, which is your timeline. Okay. And so if you click on the button that says, oh, you got 4 or 20 new posts, right? And it comes up with 20 again. And it's the same page over and over again. And also with a Mac, you can scroll with your finger you can scroll with your finger, right? And the page stops. Now that's in the programming of the web design. And because I took web design, actually, I did the homework for my girlfriend who did web design. I didn't get credit for it, but I got her V's.
Yeah,
and I understood it, and I had to do all of it. But the simple fact is this: JavaScript came out, and also the search engines, where it's all about the money. They control everything. The supercomputer is the artificial intelligence, and they probably have several of them. And then I get this guy on Facebook that tells me, "Oh, I love AI." You love what? I want to make love to it before everybody's talking about the end date. It's going to be this year, September 23rd. And I don't want to mention any names, but there is a secret army. And I do believe that I was part of that secret army. And I have been under the radar my entire life. And now that I'm 62 and collect Social Security, it's disgusting to tell you what I will get until I die.
Right.
I couldn't even buy food for how much I'll get. And anybody that has a career job, making good money out of college for, let's say 40 years, and you hit 62, you only get 25% of what you would get at 71. And so, do the numbers of that.
I'm not even counting on getting it when I grow old. I doubt I'll even get to retire.
Well, hopefully, this book is what it was meant to be. It's supposed to awaken the public worldwide. I don't care about best-selling author. After I make my FAFSA money back, I'm going to make it free. It's about sharing the truth and nothing but the truth. So help us God. That's what our democracy is all about, for Christ's sake. And I signed up and swore an oath to protect enemies, foreign and domestic. Domestic is our own government, so to speak. They line their pockets, the military industrial just sitting in the back, and they're raking in the money. But where did all this evil come from? So it's you can speculate all you want. Right. Everything that you see on mainstream media, breaking news now. You see cops killing kids. You see cops killing innocent people with their hands up. You see cops getting killed by kids. I mean, every day it's about guns. It's about violence. It's about riots. This is what the program does. And it's spelled out in black and white. And it's all truth. It came from Mind Control Recovery, thanks to Jeremy. And some of the information I got from his website says specifically that's not what I signed up for, to hurt humans. It's beyond imagination. If you don't think you're being mind controlled right now, you're doing what you like to do for free because that's what it is. That's what it wants you to do.
Me doing my show for free, talking about TI versus AI. I don't know if they'd want that, but I don't have that many viewers.
They haven't cut it off. And see, here's something else I heard. Dr. Michael Salk, he's the most renowned expert in the field of what do they call that? Exopolitics. He's from New Zealand. Okay. He stated on a question I asked as a chat room visitor on another show just a couple of weeks ago that I said, what's the disclosure? You've been chasing this for decades. So has, Dr. Greer. So has everybody that's renowned and gets money to do it. That's because they're getting paid somewhere else from it. It's all about the money. It's all about the money.
Oh, I agree. I mean, look at the Contact in the Desert. That thing is. I mean, I'd love to go, but you know how expensive that is. How much money people pay to go to these events.
Who's ever invited me? I disclosed in November 30th, 2011, on the Kevin Smith show. John Vasquez. I wrote my book back then before I read his book, and it's because his cousin, my ex-old lady, told me about it. And I go, what? Yeah, it's the same thing you told me when we first met. Oh, my God. So having said that, Kevin Smith is no longer among the living. Neither is John Vasquez or his ex-wife or Command Sergeant Major James Norton. And that was over the incident at Fort Benning. So I knew not to follow that trail because, hell, I kind of parked my book for a couple of years, and I wasn't convinced it was.
Right.
Something like it was. I'm still not convinced that it's evil ETs. If it is,
everybody knows on my show I'm open-minded and I question everything. That's just how I am. To me, everything's a question. Everything's an illusion. And I was just thinking about it today. You know, you talk about the AI and all that. They don't even need AI. All they need is a bunch of people posting a bunch of fake crap all over the internet, which has been happening for years, and now people are suddenly noticing it.
Real patents are for real.
Well, the patents are
real. Be able to read between the lines. You have to understand. You'd have to have a PhD or ×2 to understand half this stuff, and those are the kind of people that create this stuff.
But that's what I'm saying. They're creating mass confusion, so you never know what is real.
Exactly. That's what this program does. It's a takedown program. It's taking human against human. It's the racism. It's BLM. You know,
we can't fight them if we're fighting each other.
Yeah. That's the most prime example. A high-profile celebrity. You know, when I ran track, he was my idol, for Christ's sake. And I just heard he had his thing whacked. Oh my God! You know what's going to happen when they turn the machine off? He's going to go, damn, man, what did I do? Oh, my God. That's what's going to happen to everybody.
We do have a caller on B Live TV. He's been waiting here in the green room. So let's go ahead and bring Zach on with us. I got to unmute him here. All right. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, Jason. How are you?
Pretty good. You have a question for our guest tonight?
Yes, I do. Hello, Mr. Davis. Good to meet you, sir. I do have a question about when you were stationed over at Fort Polk. The weapon that you recovered, what did the weapon do? What functions did it have?
It was a DEW, directed energy weapon is what they call it. Personally, I didn't see it. I was the one with a cast on in the barracks commanding him. How could Davis do that, man? He's in the barracks. You know, even the military themselves didn't know what was really going on. Is there benevolent help? Yeah, I believe that, but you can't see them.
Okay, and then I believe the extraterrestrials, you said that they gave you superhuman abilities. Can you be able to describe exactly what those extraterrestrials were?
Like I said, I never saw them. Don't know what they look like. Never saw the spaceship except I was on a bridge looking down at Earth. Oh, by the way, it's round. You know, and I'm starting to suspect that I have memory wiped in some of these secret space program whistleblowers and super soldiers. In the first book, Incident at Fort Polk, I disclosed what they called the Rambo chip, which is now called Super Soldier. And they've been doing this since the mid-'60s, the middle of the Vietnam War. And the MK Ultra program, it does exist, even though they deny it. Congress will not pay any proof that you come up with, you know, it's all about the secrets our military and our government hides from us taxpayers. That's the whole problem right there.
And then over in your second book, based on what you described of a weapon that creates paranoia, am I understanding that right?
Well, what it does, the takedown program is it's using see, the whole planet, all of us humans are infested with nanotechnology, whether you want to believe it or not.
I've heard that before.
The body doesn't reject it. It doesn't.
And this is from the chemtrails.
The Morgellons disease, the CDC, the AMA, they had some little fake, study on it, and they decided that's a figment of your imagination. And I got a friend of mine on Facebook named Donna Ford. And I'm not afraid to say her name because she's almost on her deathbed. She went to give blood at her doctor, and a gray ooze came out. The nurse ran screaming out of the room, and they escorted her out of the building. They don't want to touch people with Morgellons. That's because your body is rejecting
the nanotechnology.
Yeah. And it's just only a small, 1 out of every 100,000 people get that. And
it's the weirdest disease. It's the weirdest disease. The fibers coming out of their skin, and I've always wondered if it could, because I've heard for a number of years since the 90s when I first started getting into chemtrails that some people are saying it's weather modification, some people are saying it's this, and I started hearing the small voices out there saying it's nanotechnology, and that was way before we should have any kind of nanotechnology. To me, that would say it's definitely alien involvement. To be that advanced technology to be able to do something that far back. But I know there was chemtrails back in the 90s because that's before I knew what a chemtrail was. I was asking people like, why are there so many of these contrails in the sky and they don't look right? Crisscross patterns and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've been into it. You can ask my wife's, for a long time. At least the late 90s into the early 2000s is when I really started to question what was going on. You got any other questions, Zach?
It just leads to my next question. Is there a way actually for the body to naturally cleanse itself of these nanites?
You can't get them out of your body. There's no way to remove them. But I have a homemade device. Let me see if I can show it to you. This is, see how hard that was to pull apart? These are super magnets. Okay, and I've gone through 5 prototypes. This is a tennis elbow wrap that I buy. It's a generic one. And inside this part here, I sewed it. And this part, I put Velcro on it. But they have to be to where they're connected. So you put it on the back side where it sticks. And, well, God, this is so difficult.
They're magnets.
Well, yeah. Well, this is what kills them. And this is another reason why I said I am. I am disconnected. Now, the wireless cannot tell me what to do. But the people around me, it can. So you figure that out. Anyway, I can't get it to work right now. But there it is. It's on your wrist. And when the 2 super magnets are attracting each other, it creates an electromagnetic pulse. And I discovered this quite accidentally. And, I seem to be a pretty smart fellow, but boy, I made a big mistake. I didn't research magnet therapy first.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Well, 4 years ago, this coming August, I got back from a cross-country trip, doing one of my hotel renovations, and I was on another show, and this guy accidentally playing around. He had Morgellons, and he has MorgellonsCure.com. He now has other devices that can help remove
Morgellons.
The Morgellons that help cure it and contain the neck. Now, you can't ever get it out of you. You can just kill it because we're still breathing the air.
Yeah, according to your theory there, or what you found, there's no escape. It's all around us. Is it just this country? Is it all over the world?
It's the entire planet in the heavily populated areas. Hence, the migration that they're forcing people out of the Middle East to get them into one spot. Same thing in Africa. Well, my opinion there is they're getting rid of all the tribes there so they can build the supercomputers that nobody's going to be able to attack. It'll never get shut down.
Zach, I was going to ask Zach, did you have any other questions for our guest?
Yeah, just one more. It leads into the nanite question. So, because eventually, like, say, for example, if you take some antibiotics, eventually over time, your body becomes immune to it. What kind of technology do they put into nanites to where it makes a human body not immune, really, to these foreign entities?
The simple fact is this. You have to go to the top people in power. Right now, they're all corrupted. They don't even know what's going on. It's just attacking each other. Is that democracy? No, it's not. I mean, you can debate and so on, and Melissa out in chat. No, I'm not a nut. I can see that. It sounds crazy. This is what the program I explained talks about. Mm-hmm. That they can get away with it. So they create the DM, manual 5 times now to cover their bases. They call you schizophrenic, paranoid, all that domestic violence. They take your kids away. It's everything. I mean, if I get pulled over by a cop, which I haven't in 10 years, I've learned to don't play the game. Don't play it at all. They instigate it. That's what they're taught to do, or they're being told what to do. Of course, they're trained that way. Oh, I got a cousin that's a cop, for Christ's sake. He told me, I'm going to go stock up on ammo. We're going to be the first ones taken out. Yeah, of course they are. Then it comes into UN troops. All this, it's sad that our country has gone as far as it has gone thus far. Well, I don't know if anybody heard this or not, but March 8th, there was an ET underground bases and DUMS, deep underground military bases, attacked worldwide by a secret Earth Defense Force. And I know about it. And
was this a good side trying to take out the bad guys? And because we've heard about all these underground secret bases for years. Well, so was this the good guys trying to take out the bad guys kind of deal? Or?
Well, let's look back in 1947. Roswell. My opinion, it was a drone filled with tiny little guys, and they had the nanotechnology in it. And it grows. It's not an overnight like you see World War Z stuff. It takes decades. In fact, the plan was 100 years, and our military are human. Let me read you some DNA stuff.
Really quick, let's see. Hold 1 second there. Zach, thank you for calling in.
Thank you for allowing me to call in, Jason. Thank you so much also, Mr. Davis, for answering my questions. And also, thank you for your service as well.
Go buy my book and spread it.
Have a good night, Zach.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Cynthia Marie Brewer?
No, I haven't.
Wow. She was on Facebook and posted a note. See, if you post a note, it doesn't go into the patented program where topics and subtopics and shared, and it gathers people with like minds are usually in the same group, right? And then you get the weirdos. I'm from Ghana. I want to be your husband. Don't you ever read my profile? That's the artificial intelligence creating its own profile. All right. So Cynthia Marie Brewer, she's the woman that was unwittingly used in a worldwide joint enterprise venture known the International Human Genome Project.
It is the largest, DNA.
Yeah, it is the largest case in documented human history. I was the first so-called lawful human takings in this era, agreed at the world courts, the Vatican, the Geneva Convention, The Hague, and signed for by former President Bill Clinton Tony Blair, and others. The patents were passed out at the Uniprot Consortium. The Black Ops project for the DNA sequencing and patenting of the entire human genome is what backs world currency today. It happened in 1997 and was released through the mainstream media using the cover story of Dolly the sheep. Okay.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so if you want to know about all this stuff, I mean, the securities include Whitewater, Blackwater, every bank, money changer, insurance company, and religious corporation, free CBRE, SABRE, CEDE, and company, inconceivable medical, scientific, and technology patents, as well as ineffable computer, telecommunications, and satellite interests. Check these at the Securities and Exchange Office and marketplaces around the world. The central index key is attachment to the blood bank at NCBI. Here's just a few highlights. I know that you did not get the same story as the evidence proves. Look into the truth where the funds came from. Enron, Halliburton, HAARP, DARPA, CERN, and Bernie Madoff sold life insurance, not a Ponzi scheme. The patent holder for the interest from HGP is the Advisor for Homeland Security. And the patent cause for its incorporation. Martha Stewart wrote a book called I Am Clone. That landed her in prison. Some of the bigger failed attempts include Bree-X and Bree-Exit, Recall the Bailout, okay? All the murders and the blackmailing or otherwise silencing of thousands of people. The one reason the Clintons have been guarded is because the guards, the corporations they work for, are invested making it a conflict of interest. That's all I'm going to read from that. That's not in my book. That's more evidence out there that if you don't read the book, you know, you're mind controlled.
It sounds like we're all somewhat gonna, you know, there's no way around it.
There's no way around it.
That's what it sounds like. We
have to unplug it somewhere.
We do have another caller on the line. I want to bring her on. How you doing tonight, Laura Lee?
I'm pretty good, thanks. How are you?
Pretty good. What's your question for our guest tonight?
Hi, Ben. Nice to hear what you had to say, and I have to comment. Very interesting things you've talked about. One of the things that I have two questions for you, but one of them, I'm a registered nurse. I would consider myself a little bit of an oddity because a lot of the things that you were saying about the DSM versions and so on and so forth, I have to concur with you. I totally believe with the mental illness. I think it's completely wrong. You know, I have a little bit on my father's side. My common law husband, who I refer to as my husband, has a cousin that is been diagnosed as well with schizophrenia. And we've talked about this many times because, and this will lead into my second question actually, he was actually hospitalized because he was riding on his motorcycle dressed like, I think, probably the Terminator, gun on his back, which you don't have it here in Canada where I'm from, shooting at what he thought were demons. He was able to see that. And I do think a lot of this is completely misdiagnosed. So I have to concur. One of the things I noticed you didn't mention, probably because we don't have enough time, I also believe that a lot of this is heavily vested with the drug companies. There's far too much money to be made. Right today, there were two doctors slain in Chicago, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
And there's also, my son is autistic, so I know a lot about homeopathy. And from 2015 to 2016, 100 homeopathic doctors who made breakthroughs and so on and so forth have all so-called supposedly been committed suicide when they've been found with a shotgun blast, tied up, drowned. And I just love to hear what your thoughts were on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to be so long there.
Yeah, that's okay. I wrote a second book. I wrote it, it didn't get published till January. Usually when you write a book, if you self-publish, you get it right up on Amazon, Kindle, and all that.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is you have to send it as Word, they send it back as PDF. Man, it makes all kinds of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a book called The Pink Mile. And you see the black ribbon over the pink ribbon?
I do.
Usually that denotes the death of somebody, like a cop or whatever. Mm-hmm. My wife is a breast cancer survivor. And,
I'm glad to hear that.
And this is just a short story. It's the man's side of what I claimed as breast cancer victim syndrome.
Okay.
It's all drug induced. And after almost completing my college at Full Sail University for creative writing, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, intrusive duct cancer. And she's a dietitian. She's a registered dietitian. Mm-hmm. She also is a diabetes educator, all that's certified, the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. She's smart. But prior to that, and me unknowingly, we only got married in like 2007, second marriage for us both. And things changed. Almost to the point of domestic and so on. Well, because I was taught in college recently now, 7 years ago, and up until 2012, the research that I did because of the breast cancer, it's a shocker for everybody, including the husband or the spouse, whatever significant other. What I came across in this book is the drugs. What you just asked about. Okay.
I agree.
Now, this is what's out here on the internet. The drug companies pay people to put out all these group efforts and help groups. And I pretended to be a woman in the breastcancer.org website. And how do you get your mojo back? And all these other questions that nobody was brave enough to ask. And then, I got a few rude remarks, and they came from the administrators of the website. And then I started going through the research process of the drugs. So here's what you do. You open up Wikipedia and you type in every drug that you see on television ads at 6 o'clock news. And it will explain to you in their, format. And there's a link to every word that's I opened up 50 web browsers on every drug, and it comes down to one common denominator. You got Cialis, you got Viagra, you got antidepressant, you got, I got heartburn, you name it. Okay. This is the three main poisons. The poison is what it comes down to. See, the American Medical Association is in the belief that if you attack the brain to cause a diversion from the hurt, that it'll cure it. That's my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, but I read enough of that in my childhood. So what it says is arsenic, cyanide, and sodium cyanide. Those are the three common denominators in every drug pharmaceutical companies make.
Basic rat poison.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and they've been putting fluoride in our water since I was born.
Oh, you can ask my wife.
I go so that all the time. Back. Yeah. Mind control. Now, here's what it relates to mind control. You are a candidate for mind control using any drug, even over the counter. For example, the PM. You see the PM? That's Benadryl. Boy, does it give you some wild dreams. And it makes you tired. And in the patents that I have in my book, the new one, TI versus AI, explicitly, so you could, if you do the ebook, it's only like $4. You click on it, it'll open up the Google Patents page. And if you're smart in your field, you'll try to understand it. I did. I'm pretty daggone smart. I'm above genius level, but and that's where my book 1 and book 2 come together, where the mind control was started in the military, especially when, you got to roll up your sleeves on both sides at the same time, and they boom.
Yeah.
Well, to add to that, Ben, not to cut you off.
A flu shot. I mean, why do I need
Exactly.
two
That's
of
what I
them?
was going to say.
It's all in inoculation.
My husband and I refuse the flu shot because just the pharmacology behind it. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. First of all, people think the flu shot will prevent gastronomical flus that you're going to get. No, it's the influenza virus. But when that virus, first of all, is made, the vaccine, it's made the year before, and they just guess on what the 3 strains are going to be for the next year. So even if you get the flu shot, you're not necessarily protected from influenza that year when you get the shot. And the second thing is, we look at it, I'm sorry, but you don't put a dead version of anything in somebody's body and expect that that's just going to create an immune response. I'm sorry. So, and that's coming from a medical professional. The other thing I was going to add, I have worked in chemotherapy. I worked out in the community. I worked in palliative care. My own personal story, I hurt my back as a nurse. I've been off for 20 years. I've been bedridden. I have an incredible doctor who is from actually Pakistan, believes in homeopathic remedies. She changed my medication in March. It's changed my life. I have been up now sometimes 18 hours a day. Still pain, nowhere near. I will never touch that drug again. So like I say, I'm an oddity as an RN in the way of not looking at, but the last thing I was going to add was with chemotherapy, even working in it, I ever get cancer, I will never touch this stuff. Never. People die from chemo. Sorry,
Laura Lee, I was going to say, I'm getting echo. I'm going to mute you there a second from your end. But Laura Lee, I noticed the difference in you when you said, I could tell just from talking to you on Skype and, having you call on the show, I can notice the difference in energy and the way you were after you got off those meds.
I would notice, actually, I thought I was losing my memory. I have an eidetic memory. I went through university, you guys would call it college. I'd open a 1,200-page textbook the night before the exam, and that was my studying. I didn't read a textbook or do homework, and I was getting to the point that when I would speak to somebody, I would forget what I was talking about, like Jason said, and then I'd listen to recordings afterwards. I would sound like I was intoxicated. My speech would sound slurred, and I'm not normally like that.
Yeah, I noticed the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, huge difference. The other thing, sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, you go ahead.
The other question I have for you, Ben, I don't want to get into too many details because I'm sure it's boring for people to hear the same thing, but my husband and I and our family have been under a horrific haunting, we thought. There's a really wonderful medium, Katrina Cooper, who frequents the show and has been a guest. She did a private reading for me and also a quick one on the show when she was the guest. And it sounds like I have aliens that are impersonating a demon in my house. But the really freaky thing I want to ask you about was I actually did a recording last night of audio and video. Since I turned it on, I'd love for you to hear it. And I hope I don't sound crazy. It sounds like an alien voice continually going through the speakers and some sort of male low. I can't understand what it is. I'm going to send a copy to Jason. I want him to hear it too. If you like, Jason, I'd love to hear if you've heard that before. I
don't have voices, and that's part of the DSM manual. Mm-hmm. They'll label you crazy and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I was given abilities from what I believe is benevolent ETs. Mm-hmm. And then again, I'm 51-49 is what I call it. 51% convinced, 49% not. That's the democracy way. Well, here's an example. I just know. Mm-hmm. I can see things that go on. For example, the ET base is being hit and it's flooded since March 8th. Here in Florida, we've had a drought. We're 3 feet low in my backyard golf canal. We haven't had any rain. Oh, we had 100 drops the other day. I kind of laughed. But our secret space program also has huge crap that I've talked with others whistleblowers that say we got all this technology.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show. I've had guests on the show talk about that, yes.
Yeah. And so the thing is this. Some people, and including some of the patents that I have in my book, it specifically says exactly what you said. Now, here's the thing. Dr. Robert Duncan put out last August, he was a Harvard professor working on some of this artificial intelligence stuff. And he says, due to non-disclosure, he can't say everything, but he can, in between lines, say things that made me become more aware of what exactly is happening. And here's what he said. The nanotechnology, I mean, I used to wear the wrist wraps to keep myself unplugged. That doesn't mean everybody else around me isn't, because they think I'm a nut, right? Okay. I heard that from the chat. Yeah, I'll say that. Well, here's the thing. The resonance signature that they have the technology to use. In other words, you're looking through night glasses and you can see the heat, the infrared. Well, the resonance signature, he said, once your brain and your body is mapped out, it doesn't matter. And what it pounces on are your 5 senses. What you see, feel, hear, smell, touch. It can make you think. For example, they call it gaslighting. When I was a smoker long ago, I used to use big lighters, different colors. And I'd light an old lady's cigarette up, and I put it back in my pocket. And you know how the plastic codes, they're all white. Saved the money and color. But anyway, we were at a bar and I was drinking then, and lighter for a cigarette. I had a green lighter. 20 minutes later, I light it up, pull out, it's orange. And I just go, shit.
Yeah.
She says, wasn't it a green lighter? I go, yeah, well, I say it in the book. I jokingly say I'm just a time traveler. That's the only explanation I could have. That's called gaslighting. They're making you see this lighter a different color. And that's what this mind control program is so secretly, remote, wirelessly telling you what to do. Is it a human doing it? Sometimes. Is it the machine doing that? Of course it is. And here's the difference, he said. It doesn't understand ethics, and it does not understand morals, and it doesn't care. That's what has to get taken out. It's time to take down the AI. That's
we're facing a Terminator scenario. Well, thank you, Laura Lee, for calling into the show.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for talking to me tonight. You guys go ahead in case someone else can call in. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day, Laura Lee.
Yeah, you too.
But yeah, you wonder how close this is going to come to the Terminator scenario for us. Well,
it's all about the singularity. What was his name? Ray Kurzweil or something wrote a book about it. He's only I think he's younger than me. Or maybe a couple of years older than me. I can't remember, but I've done so much research. I mean, I've read all of Wes Penry's papers. I mean, you're looking at 5,000 pages. And it took me 3 months to read just 2 of the papers of his out of 5 or 6 of them. And when I published It's About Time, Incident at Fort Polk, I was the first one to open the eyes to the public about artificial intelligence. 6 weeks later, he publishes his artificial intelligence. Wow, and he's a much better writer. I'm an amateur, but I'm a soldier. And
you're just trying to get the word out there.
I was told to write the book and for taking on this mission to reacquire their DEW and so on, that I would be, they told me what was going to happen in my life. I mean, I have struggled the whole time. Now, who's to say that people that were involved with me weren't my handlers? And it was all my control program. and there are no evil ETs. And Dr. Carol Roslin contacted me, and she's, to this day, says on Dr. Werner von Braun's deathbed, there are no evil ETs. That's the military industrial complex's way to get more money from Congress. Well, so is illegal drugs, so is sex slaves, so is everything that has anything to do with black money. Mm-hmm. How else can they pay for all this stuff? So the disclosure isn't about that. It's about the truth. And anytime a truther steps up, they always get wiped out. Well, I was told that once my book is published, they're going to take me down. Now, am I going to get killed, or are they just going to cover it up?
Well, they didn't kill you over the first book.
No, they didn't. There wasn't enough information in there. That was the teaser. My next book's going to blow you right out of the water.
I honestly believe that our government feels very confident in people not paying attention or believing in any of this. They don't have to kill you off. If they killed you off, they would only maybe give you more validity. Yeah,
I've already figured that out. That's why I'm public on Facebook.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and so having said that, if they take me out, man, that was the book I wrote about. And they're true. In my age, I don't give a damn if they do or not, because when I was discharged and the congressional inquiry requested by my parents, the doctors re-examined me. They determined that I also had Legg-Perthes disease in my right hip. It just wasn't as progressed. And they also told me that if I didn't do physical labor for the rest of my life, that I would be in a wheelchair by 40. And I haven't had any work in 2 months because I had to finish this book up. And I do very physical work. It's 7 days a week. It's 10 hours a day. I've done 291 days in a row before.
Oh, man.
I was dragging my feet. I had cramps so bad, I had to stop and think. My hands hurt. And so it keeps me physical. It keeps my blood circulating. It keeps me healthy. If they try to do the stroke beams and all that, I have probably, I'm hearing in my brain, my mind, 4 different frequencies. And it usually just takes 1 or 2.
And you think that's them trying to tap into you?
They can't. They can't tap into me at all, because I have learned through my research how to stop them. And I also know how to keep them out of me, but not everybody else. So it's going to be World War Z against me down the road. If you think that's what it's all about, that's the thing. It's a silent, very invisible, wireless, remote telecommunication to your brain. It can make you see things, hear things. Oh, don't pay brother that $1,250 from Dad's life insurance policy, even though they all said they were going to give it to me. I got none of it.
Well, I almost had it in the World Wide Web of Weird, but there was that these 2 girls did for a science project. I forgot where. It was in another country, I believe, where they did an experiment where they took 2 different seedlings, where they would took multiple seedlings that were growing. I can't remember what kind of plant it was. It was like the seeds, and they I'm getting some echoes. They put them in separate rooms. They put some right next to a router that would simulate a cell phone, and then they put them in dead zones where they wouldn't receive any Wi-Fi signal at all. And of course, the ones that were right next to the router, next to the cell phones, ended up being totally mutated, didn't grow or thrive, and the ones that were in the dead zone totally grew. And they watered them and fed them the same way. They put on a brilliant project. The national media has taken attention to this. So just the pure fact of what they're doing electromagnetically to us is scary enough.
Do you think any of these mainstream media broadcasters even know what's going on?
No.
I doubt it. And if they think they're going underneath the deep underground military bases, when they decide to pull the plug, they're already flooded out. There's so much not known and not being told about. It's going to come out. And supposedly by September, it's supposed to happen. I saw a question I want to answer.
Yeah.
Daryl Neely said, what about the 5G network? It's just a faster way to get you to your mind. That's what I think.
Maybe it's just faster for them to mind control you.
Yep. That's it. Listen, I want to close out with something that's in the tail end of my book. I call it the 10 Demandments. And I'm just going to scale them out here. Number 1, demand disclosure of all funding ever spent on the military-industrial complex, weapons, technology, or craft. Number 2, stop this mind control AI supercomputer of further development and pull the plug. It does exist with proof in the patents. Number 3, cleanse the human race from all nanotechnology within the human brain and body. 4, promise to mankind the violence and wars will end permanently. 5, disclose every secret ever classified as a national security threat and make it into law that humans will never again be experimented on without consent. Some of these patents say that. There has never been a threat to the USA. Number 6, bring out the secret free energy devices for the entire planet. 7, end all pay for education worldwide and update the history of humanity. Number 8, compensate all victims of every secret program or experiment used on military, former military, and families of civilians involved. Number 9, disclose all health care issues and cures and devices to restore human life on Earth and make it all free, just as we swore an oath to defend for. Number 10, make the planet debt-free and secure all assets from those that funded and stole from the human race to enslave us by. That's the end of that article.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. It's been fun. Like I said, it's a small world. We'll get the word out. I have Incident Fort Polk, the Pink Mile, and now TI versus AI. It will shock you. One last thing.
Yeah.
I went and saw a movie a week ago called The Circle. Tom Hanks starred in it. He also produced it and directed it. He is an activist. And any movie that he kind of shows, like Cloud Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
I went on opening night. There was 3 people in the whole movie theater. But there was a full, theater when I went. And when I saw that movie, I went, oh, man, that's my book. So y'all go see it and then read it.
I wondered when I saw that, too, if that, would relate to your topic tonight. Because I haven't seen the movie yet. I want to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'm interested to see it because, it scares the crap out of me. And it's not that I really care if they're spying on me, but it's the idea of them manipulating us.
The insinuations, the whole thing about Hollywood is this: keywords. They say certain words that lead you to believe what's going on. Like target is the big military word. Target, nano, all these things, mind control. They say it different ways, and those are the tricks. You got to go look it up. You'll see.
Well, thank you so much for that. People can find all your books on. We get so much echo. People can find your books on Amazon. I posted the links in the description of when I put this show up on YouTube, it'll be in there, but I put it in the event page for if you go to that, you can find the link to his first book, and I will get the link to your newest book too, and make sure I post that on my page.
I just posted it in the chat.
Awesome. So we can show that. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, Ben, and we'll hopefully get you back on again soon.
All right. Thank you very much. You have a good one.
You too. All right. Well, thank you guys. Next week we will be back. We're going to kind of go back and forth. We're testing out BeLive TV. And so next week we'll probably be on YouTube this time. We're going to kind of go back and forth, test them out. Next week's guest, of course, I always forget to pull up my thing here. The other reason I'm tonight, I thought I had the blurry video problem solved. I did a test with Laura Lee and Zach. I had no blurry video for an hour. And as soon as I started the show, my video went blurry. And this is expletive, so it wasn't Manicam or them. So I don't know if it's something with BeLive or what. Hopefully it runs good on Google Hangouts. So we'll do YouTube next week, and then maybe we'll go back to Facebook again, test it out. We're trying new things. We're trying to broaden our audience reach. We're trying to test out they're coming out so many cool things right now. Like there's Smile Time, this is Be Live TV, and Facebook is such a great platform. Thanks to Laura Lee and Zach. Thank you guys for calling in tonight on the Be Live format. We always will have the Skype lines available. Jeff was waiting for you guys. If you have a mobile device, you can't use it on Be Live. We go back to Be Live in a couple weeks. Just remember, we'll have the Skype lines available for you to call in. All right, let's see. We are next week going to have Matthew Jackson. So we're going to get into paranormal. We're going to talk about his investigations, his experiments with ITC. I can't wait to have him on. We're going to hopefully, I think we should have some evidence for him. You know, I love having paranormal investigators on and their EVPs and videos and photos. So it should be a good night. And like I said, I think we're going to do that show on YouTube. I haven't decided yet, but you know, I know people have trouble with the chat on here. That bugs me that people have trouble commenting or doing what they are. I do like that I can show your comments. All right, so next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Well, maybe bad channel. I've been saying same bad channel, but might be a different channel. It might be on Facebook. It might be on YouTube. I'm going to discuss it with the team. We'll see what we'll do. Probably is going to be YouTube. I think we should go back and forth and do a little bit of testing for a while. So most likely, I'll let you guys know. It'll be on YouTube, 10 p.m. to midnight with our guest, Matthew Jackson. Everybody, have a great night. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
One thing left to say, hold the hand that prays, all my thoughts ablaze, am I still awake? When you get the time, leave your soul behind, all the signs of life, have I too gone blind? Looking for the way where silence holds a day, just a witness with a living, have I lost my slave? I have just one request, I'd like to get no rest. I travel to the edge and rest. I settle for what is left. Just when time stood still, my passion lost their will. Never found my fill, approached the ancient hill. Walked upon the path, I saw the peak at last. Worn and weary, so weary, I had come to I have just one request, I'd like to get the rest. I've traveled to the edge and distance, I settled for what was left. My consciousness expands, through space and time and land. I see my soul depart, I found my last request.
We definitely went down the rabbit hole. We had a lot of information he was trying to cover. A lot of technical stuff that went way over my head, but I get it. And I do believe that there is definitely a huge manipulation. I definitely think there's a lot going on we don't know about, and I'm open to hear anybody's opinion on it. Now, some of you guys in the chat room tonight might have not bought what he was buying, but I'm going to have a guess you're not going to. You know what I do? I keep my mind open to everybody, because I don't know if I'm right. I have no idea what the reality is that we live in. Everything's up for debate, in my opinion. And, I definitely make your comments if you don't disagree, if you don't agree with my guess. Just be polite about it. But I think he had a lot to offer, and I think there's a lot to think about when it comes about how we're being manipulated, exposed, when it comes to electronics and the internet and everything, and Facebook. It's a lot to think about. All right, guys, see you next week with our guest, Matthew Jackson. We're going to talk about his paranormal investigations and his evidence. I can't wait. And like I said, most likely that show is going to be on YouTube. Have a great night, guys. See you next week.